Welcome to the Education Over That podcast. I'm Sheena Hogan. I'm so glad you joined. This is a place where I give practical financial tips that anyone can understand and you can begin to implement now. Season 3, we will have a guest sharing with you their money story and providing helpful tips for young professionals as they transition into adulthood. My hope is that you'll leave this conversation with a new tip, strategy, or perspective that you can implement now. The Education Over That podcast is now streaming on Spotify, so be sure to check us out there and become a monthly subscriber for as little as 99 cents per month. And if you haven't visited our website at Education Over That, you can check us out to learn what we are doing in the community and become a supporter. Today's guest is Mr. Purcell Hobbs. Purcell Hobbs is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, and has been working in education since he was in high school. Upon graduating from Johnson C. Smith University, Purcell began his professional career as a teacher with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools and later transitioned to Central Piedmont College, where he worked with the Upward Bound program and served as the Director of Advising and Student Success Centers Department. Currently, Purcell works for the nonprofit agency Husey Light Scholars as an academic coordinator with the Upward Bound program, serving 120 students within the Gaston, Mecklenburg, and Stanley counties. Purcell is a proud father of 3 sons and a godfather of 2. Purcell is pursuing his doctoral degree in organizational leadership while actively being involved in his church. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with family and friends, taking trips, and singing on the choir at his church. Please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Purcell Hobbs. Hi, Mr. Hobbs. How are you doing tonight?
Going well, and yourself?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for joining me on the Education Over That podcast. I'm so excited that you could join me. I always like to share with my guests a little bit of how we met. And Mr. Hobbs was one of my academic advisors in Central Piedmont's Upward Bound program, and we've kept in touch over the years. He has a big personality, and I enjoy just talking to him and asking him questions about, asking for advice, really.
You're good. Thank you.
To help me in my life. So, Mr. Hobbs, share with me a little bit about how did you get into education and into Upward Bound even?
It was really back in high school. So back in high school, I was asked to apply to teach abstinence to middle school students. So I had to compete with other students from Baltimore City High School. I think it was about maybe 42 applicants. And during that experience, when I actually had to do the research to kind of get middle school students to abstain. At that time, Baltimore City had a high pregnancy rate, and they were starting as early as middle school. So we figured if we could get peer-on-peer people to work with the middle school students to kind of discourage them from having sexual relations, we can make a difference. So what happened is, ironically, I was supposed to be paired up with a female partner, and she decided to quit 2 days before we were due to make our first presentation to about 57 middle school students. And they couldn't find me someone in enough time to work with me in that process. I did it by myself. And when I saw the middle school students' eyes light up as I was kind of teaching my lesson, I was like, I like this. I like it. So from back-to-back classes and the students were doing their thing, I was like, I think I might like this profession. And that's what really got me into education.
Wow, that's so interesting. You was teaching them abstinence.
Yes.
Whereas now that's like, forbidden. But
forbidden, yes. a cardinal word to say, but it made a difference. It was funny because I remember clearly after all these years, I remember we had a index card, and I passed out the index cards to all the students. And on one index card was an X. And the project was to have the students go around and have students just sign the index cards, just random students. And of course they did, and they got excited about it and all that kind of stuff like that. And whoever had the X had the infection, STDs. And I was like, okay, you infected. Will you read down the list of all the people who signed your card? And they read the student. I said, now you're infected. Now, when you read down the list of everybody who signed your card, and before we got to the end, everybody was infected. I was like, and that's how STDs transmit. You have no idea. You mess with this person, they mess with that person, and before long, now you have it. It doesn't take long. Look how fast you all got to sign the sheets, the index cards. That's just how fast you can get it. And they were in like an aha moment, like, wow, Yes. This is why it's good to not have sexual relations in this age right here. And it made a difference. I was pleased with it.
And
I got
you
good
y'all
I
didn't
got
talk
good
about
evaluations.
y'all didn't talk about feelings or emotions or how to manage your hormones, none of that stuff, right?
We did. I had to do all that kind of stuff. I did with that, because they're middle school students. They're going through that change of life process. And keep in mind, I was probably a sophomore, a junior myself in high school. So I wasn't that much older than them. And that came up in the conversations. And the good thing, I did have an adult with me. If I got off task or got stumped with the answer, she would step in and help me out. But the good thing is she only stepped in one time. The rest I knew, and she was well pleased with it because we rehearsed and we kind of prepared for the what kind of questions, but I had it because I wasn't that far off from being a middle school student myself. So, but that is what got me into education, seeing the students' eyes just light up and learning from the process.
Okay, and you've been doing it ever since. So you never thought about doing anything different. You just stay in education.
Stay in education now. One of my friends told me, he said, Purcell, he's a radio personality with X and Radio. He said, sometime you have to leave the team as a player and become the coach. I said, okay. He says, so it's time for you to leave the team as a player, become the coach, which is when I became a director in Upward Bound, assistant director Upward Bound, and then working at CPC as director of advising student success centers. So then I became more of a cheerleader, a coach, everything, that kind of process. But all in all, still in the field of education. I think it's remarkable. Plus, I like the summers off. and, and I like seeing the students matriculate like yourself. So here we were in whatever year we met. I'm not going to call you your age out, but the year we met. And here we are all these years later and seeing the fruit of your labor and all that kind of good stuff. So I love it. And I just love it. Yes.
Well, thank you. So what do you think some of the challenges are with students nowadays in regards to considering college? I know last year, 2020, was a big year for everybody and impacted everybody. What do you think you saw? What are some of the challenges you saw with students, parents, teachers, etc.?
Lack of apathy for one. I guess students they were very frustrated with the online learning process. The biggest challenge we saw is students working. They worked because the employers needed people to work. They chose the students. The students were not afraid to go out there during COVID. You had adults who had children who couldn't find childcare for them because the schools were not in session. And you had parents who didn't really trust the process. They stayed with their children during that time. So they used the high school students to working for those hours. So I had several students who were working basically 40 hours a week plus some as high school students. That was the biggest challenge. For the parents, it was getting them to trust in science. A lot of them trust the science as far as the vaccinations or the process of the online learning process. And this is where Upward Bound stepped in. So what we did was we only had 120 students. So of course we could not serve the whole student body, but the 120, we served as the buffer between the parents and the students and the teachers to make sure our students were at least doing their part in the process, calling the students, calling the counselors, reaching out to the teachers, seeing what we can do to make sure our 120 students were not going to fall behind on the wayside in the process. But it was very challenging. It was in relationship to going to college. A lot of our students opted to take that gap year off. I try to reduce it to a gap semester, if at all, because of course we know that if you take a year off, you're going to try to get a car and you want to try to get more stuff. And you want to be in debt and you really can't afford not to go to work because you have to pay for all these different materialistic stuff. So before I let the students get into that ruckus, I say take a semester. If you're that, set on taking some time off after high school, then take a semester. And then I ride them the whole fall semester until they go to school in the spring. But it's a big challenge.
Do you think it's more of a challenge because Upward Bound deal with low income and first generation students that they don't see the value in school, or maybe they're the first in their family to go to school? So do you think that's why they're like, oh, I don't need college? Or
no, actually, because Upward Bound, we're very selective. So we can actually interview and select the students who are like-minded, who want to go to college. So these students initially have, we did the interview process. We met with them and their parents. remember their counselors, remember their teachers. So these students want to go to college, but it's the money factor. One of my former directors said a little bit of money is a dangerous thing, and I agree completely. You have a high school student who's making $800 every 2 weeks. To them, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. To us in the real world, that's nothing. You know, you got your car insurance, mm-hmm. but to them who live at home with their parents and they just banking on this money, that's a lot of money to them. So getting them to see beyond that process is the challenge we have, because they're so, you know, it's right there in front of me. I need you to look 5-6 years down the line. You know, do you want us to be working at that job, doing what you're doing there? Right. You know, some of them it hits home, some of them it doesn't. But
maybe do y'all consider, maybe I should need to invite me. We could go through like let's go through what expenses look like. Yes. You know, because I think they miss it. They don't understand, like, you're even going to college, the kids would always say the manager income level, mm-hmm. but I'm like, no, you get the entry level the first year. So let's work through that, and then understanding like rent and health insurance is coming out, taxes is coming out, so like your net pay is different than the salary number. Absolutely. And then going like in Maryland, you know, the taxes are super high. So going through the rent and all these other expenses, so then they can see like, okay, what am I really working with? Maybe I should do that with Upperbound, because I know it's like $800 seems like a lot now, but that's because you're not really paying no bills.
That's exactly right.
And I was just talking to this lady that works with me, and she was saying she rushed through college because she wanted to get out in 3 years. Mm-hmm. And she didn't do no activity. She didn't do anything in college. And now she working, and she don't like being an adult in a nutshell. Yeah. Like, you should have went ahead and had fun in college and, you know, live that up, because, you know, working is real and being an adult is real. And I think right now, because their kids and they're staying at home with their parents and their parents pay for everything, they don't really see, you know, the value. And then they don't understand. But their parents may not give them any responsibility for the $800 that they get a week. So, you know, I think that's where they get stuck. But maybe y'all should invite me in, and we can go through what bills look like and understand taxes. Because I think in life you need to, you know, you have your income, try to make a consistent income. You got to pay your taxes, and you know, you need to be able to take care of your family. I think that's it in a nutshell.
And I look forward to next year. So I think one of the things is we chose this Upperbound, decided not to go and do residential this year. There were some Upperbounds that did residential during the summertime. We opted not to, for the safety of our students and our staff. We said we're going to take another year off and do virtual learning, and then come back next year. Mm-hmm. You know, let the vaccination kick in, let the students get the process. We just didn't feel comfortable. Now, had we been on campus, it would have been a little differently, because we would have had their attention for the whole 6 weeks and all that kind of good stuff. So next year, when we go on campus, God be willing, we will invite you to come in. Our goal is to invite speakers to come in and do things with the students throughout the year. I can't wait to do the poverty simulation. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that he did with us, to get you to feel, you know, hey, poverty is real. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take much. You know, you're 3 paychecks away, or whether it's 2 paychecks away from being broke or poor. And here's the thing. So we look forward to that partnership. So definitely plan to come with us next summer, please.
What campus will you all stay on? Like what?
UNCC. So we're located on the Mallard Creek Church Road. Okay. So UNCC is close to us. They met our terms and conditions as far as price wise. They really wanted us on the campus. We wanted to be there. Plus, it's a lot for the students to do, because it's such a big university. Mm-hmm. I'm proud to say, though, funny, because this year we graduated 38 seniors, and of the 38 seniors, 17 of them going to UNCC this fall. Like, wow. But they got the chance to see UNCC, and they're like, I like this. And it's, you know, one of them is in his backyard, basically. He had never been on the campus. Uh-huh. He was like, they had all this? I'm like, yes, they had all theirs. And we weren't promoting UNCC. Don't get us wrong. We weren't promoting UNCC over Johnson Smith or, you know, Johnston Wales or Queens. It just happened to be that they got to see this university, and they got it, you know, and they liked it. And I like it for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I saw that sometimes with Chicago. Like, I taught community college on the south side and on the west side, and you'd be surprised how many of the students didn't even go. They never went downtown Chicago. So, and I know you hear on the news, all Chicago is bad. It's not all
Yeah.
bad, but
Yeah.
a lot of times they didn't even really see the skyline and go to the lake and do all that stuff. So
Really?
they were in some of the areas that were a little bit more tough.
Uh-huh.
But I think, and they just need to be exposed a little bit more. So
Absolutely.
I had a friend who used to take kids, just take them downtown. It's not
Mhm.
it's like a field trip, but it's not far, maybe 20 minutes.
No, but that is so true because next I wanted to do it the first year we had it. I wanted to take the students to see downtown Charlotte. Because remember, well, I don't know if you remember, this Upward Bound deals with rural and city. So we have students from Albemarle, North Carolina, and Gastonia. And there are students who are from Albemarle who never left Albemarle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is perfect. We're going to take the train. We're going to catch the train downtown because it comes to UNCC's campus. So we walk over to the train and take the train downtown, get off and explore downtown one evening after dinner, and get exposed to Charlotte. I loved it, but I was told no. So I'm gonna try it again next year, and we'll get it done.
Yeah, consider it because that way they can see like young professionals in the area. Even if you guys even if y'all go there first and then go to dinner afterwards, maybe people may be getting off. They can see people walking around. They can see, I don't know how it's like in Chicago in the summertime, like everybody be outside. So it's like, it's a thing, it's like, it's a lot of fun, at least to me.
It is, yeah.
And so just being in that whole like vibe and mix, it's just like, to me, it was a lot of fun. And so I think that, just being in the vibe of it all.
And I'm gonna push for it again next year. My boss is, she was just concerned with me in the first year. We didn't know the students that well, but I'm like, I think next year we'll be able to know the students well. We'll give us a whole year to learn the new students. They learn us. And then also we're gonna probably, do like a tier level to live on campus. So everybody won't get to live on campus. That's my recommendation. You have to earn it. You have to earn this right. So you are a junior, senior. You've earned the right to live on campus with us for the summer, and we'll take them down there and expose it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and make sure put arts in there too. So if you got any live music or somebody painting or something like that,
like a live performance, like we got the money, a live play, something like that. Yeah, live jazz. Yes. So, that's a good one. A good reason to get downtown. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So, Ms. Hobbs, what do you think some things that the students or the parents can unlearn and something that they should take with them moving forward?
What can they learn, unlearn, and take forward?
Yeah.
Okay. Learn that money is not bad. Okay. And credit is not bad. So unfortunately, a lot of our students think that credit is a bad thing. And it's not. They have a fear and a phobia of getting credit. When we know that in this society, you're going to need some credit, preferably good credit, to help you in the life and the process. So helping students and parents understand that getting good credit and maintaining it is not a bad thing. I remember when I was growing up, my grandma told me, do not get a credit card when I got to college. I didn't listen. I got one. What was the problem is she never told me how to maintain and keep the good credit. Now she had it, but why didn't she teach it to me? The fear was, don't get a credit card. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad. So when I would try to get a car, I couldn't get a car because I messed up my credit in the process. So parents helping the students in the process of money management, that is key. We want to do a seminar with our parents and students on money management and helping them unlearn bad habits and learn new habits and take away some good processes. That is key with us. We want to do that. And we want to do it as soon as possible because there are parents who need our sessions and our help as well for their children because we know that research shows that most, not always, I can't use absolutism and all stuff, but most time students mimic their parents' behavior with money. Right. Again, not all the time, but most time they mimic it. So if you have a parent who's like responsible with credit and money and stuff like that and not letting money consume you, then the students are going to be in that same process with it. So that's one of the things we want to work with our students and parents with.
Okay. What do you think the parents should tell their children or help prepare them for college in regards to the social aspect, like skill sets and character building traits? Like, what do you think some things that you feel like students need to kind of be aware
of? Get involved. Get involved with things. Don't be one of those duds who go to school for 3-4 years or 2 years and just do all academic. You want to be well-rounded. My colleague was a retired from Bank of America and Chase Bank as a senior vice president. And he was in the process of hiring a manager for one of his branches. And he looked at the resume and he looked at the GPA and he was like, "Oh my God, this young lady is very, very smart. Top of the line in her class, and so forth." And he started interviewing her, and he was like, "She has no personality. She was an A student, but she never got involved to have that balance." So what if her staff, when they go out with her one night, can she handle the balance of being their boss and their friend, or going out for some drinks and socializing, or this? And he said, basically, she would be great behind the scenes for the bank, but not as a branch manager, because you have to have personality. So helping our students get that balance, all work, no. Work and play, yes. Balance out in that process. So helping our students get that process of balancing and working and playing, which is when we love to do with them during the summertime, because they get the opportunity to do work and play. Mm-hmm. We work hard from 9 to 4 or 9 to 3, and then we play. But yes, you still have homework to do. You do. Yes, you still have other stuff to do. So sometimes you have to say, no, I'm not going to play basketball today. I want to get this work done for my class. And I love to see how they come together and, work together in groups in that process as we prepare them for, this is what college is like, working in groups, saying I can't go and play basketball today because I got this assignment to do for my teacher. Or I'm going to play basketball, but I'm going to play only a little bit and then leave and go back and do some work for my class. And I love that process. So hopefully our students and parents, and I love them when the students talk about their projects with their parents, they're like, "Oh my God, they came home and did their work before they went out to the mall." I'm like, yes, job done. We've succeeded in that, teaching them to balance that process. So that's good.
That is really good, Mr. Hobbs, because when you get to college, it's a lot of distractions, and you do need to know how to prioritize. What are you going to do first? How to work in groups, how to manage your relationships with your professors, with the other peers, and all that good stuff. It's really important, and it's good that you all are helping students become well-rounded and see the importance of that, because I think we need it. And
we do.
I think teaching at community colleges, I saw some of the challenges the students weren't able to do that. And it was a struggle for them. Even working with some of the people on the team, one person was like, they went to school and they want to get done so fast. And now they really don't like working as an adult, but she didn't do anything while she was in college to really have fun. I don't know what she was rushing for, but I think, it helps, and it helps give you something to talk about when you do start working. I also try to encourage people to study abroad if they can when they go.
Oh my God, yes.
So that, again, more experience, something to talk about, because when you go to a lot of corporates, the other people, they have a lot more experience. They went to France and they did Spain and, all these different things. And then you're coming in like, oh, I didn't go anywhere. So it just helps to, give you more conversation, relatability, and, something that you could like bring to the table outside of just work.
Absolutely. And you make that correlation, that connection, because the other thing I love about it is you're making friends for life. So, when I worked at the community college at CP and I was director of advising, I told my boss, I was like, I want to still advise students. As a director, you rarely get to advise unless it's doing mass registration. And I said, no. I want to still advise students because I still want to know what's going on with the students. And then to, add to it, I was also an adjunct professor. So I was a director, an advisor, and a teacher. And I loved it because it gave me the perspective to really see the students. And teaching the class and teaching the students, you're right, they didn't have a clue to how to balance work, family, and personal lives. And there was one young lady, she came to my office and she was this is just a sad story, but it's a good story as I really, think about it. She was being abused by her boyfriend. And I said, what is this foolishness? He said, no. I said, what is this? What is going on? Why are you letting him beat you? And she said, I'm gonna break up with him tonight. And I said, okay, good. I'm glad I got her to at least make the decision to walk away. He felt that education was pulling her away from him. And it was, because the conversations were differently. You want to talk about this. I'm talking about what I'm learning in my class. So they were drifting apart because her knowledge and what she learned changed her conversation. Mm-hmm. But I think in the process, she also learned, I got to get away from this guy. He's not really benefiting me and helping me. It was a sad story, very sad. But I feel some confident knowing that she made a decision to walk away.
Right. Yeah. It's like a big deal. But I think that's always kind of like an eye opener when you with people that you can't do anything outside of them. Like
right. Yes.
Your whole life have to kind of evolve around serving them and making them happy and all that. That's always like a red flag to me.
And I agree. And that's why we try to push them to, okay, get involved with this, get involved with that. You're forcing yourself now to get involved with different things, meeting different people, learning certain things, learning different stuff. And now you're making a whole out of that circle, which is what we're trying to get the students to do, certainly with Upward Bound and then even at the community college, get involved. So your circle now will expand, so you're more knowledgeable of it.
So real quick, before we wrap up, if you could please, I ask my guests some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you those questions. This is about 3 questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Okay. Worst advice or best advice that you've received?
Best advice. You want me to say what it was?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, never let them see you sweat. That was the best advice they gave me.
Why?
Never let them see you sweat. Working at CP, you under a lot of stress. You're under a lot of pressure, especially as a director. You had my boss, my staff, and then students and parents. So I'm like the middleman, the buffer between all of them. And you got the boss saying, do this. You got the staff saying, we can't do this. You got the students saying, we need this. And you had everybody pulling on you from different directions. And my thing is, the best advice was never let them see you sweat. Even though you are going crazy in your mind, never let them know you're going crazy. You hold it still in the process. And I learned that, and I took my little mental breaks in between, but they never knew that I'm being pulled in 15 different directions and I make decisions in the process. So literally the phone's going off from the boss, the phone's going off from the staff, and then I got emails from students and everybody, and I'm trying to respond to all of them at the same process. And they never saw me sweat. It was stressful, but they never saw it though.
Now, do you think as we move into a more, emotional awareness, do you think now is the time to like share with people how you're feeling and bring your whole self to work and be transparent? Or you think that's not real?
No.
Sometimes you don't think that's real for like moving forward?
Listen, the workplace.
Because they say they want you to bring your heart too. They want you to they want leaders to have a heart and be empathetic and understanding.
The workplace is the workplace. Listen, you come to do your job. Okay, keep your feelings to yourself. You're a grown adult. You know what I'm saying? Keep your feelings to yourself. The first thing you do, and honestly, as a director and even as a staff, I have a box of tissue that let me show it to you. It's still closed. I never opened it. And the reason is I'm not gonna let you cry in my face. Cry to your friends. I'm your supervisor. I'm your boss. I'm your colleague. I don't want to hear all that. We came to do a job. Let's get the job done. If you need to take some time off, then request take some personal leave time off. We came to do a job. And that's why you got personal leave time and stuff like that, vacation.
But if I say that to a person and they call me, they think I'm like a mean person. As a female saying it don't come off the same way. Like men, y'all can say that, but as a female, I'm telling you, like in my last job I was a manager, they thought I was like cutthroat. But it's like, no, like we don't have time for all this. Like
is the world cutthroat? Is the world cutthroat?
It is, and I still have expectations and
absolutely. If you don't get the job done, another piece of best advice I got was, if you can't do the job I hired you to do, I'll hire somebody else. So again, your supervisor and my supervisor expect us to get the job done. I can't go to my supervisor and say, oh, well, Gladys came to my office and cried all day, so she got no work done. She'll look at me like, why you let her cry in your office all day? That's the first thing. Send her home. If she needs to take some time off, go home. Take your time. If you need a week off, take a vacation day. But when we come into the office to work, we come to work. And partly because, you want to give everyone, all of your clients, and for us as students, your best. So if you need to take some time off to pull yourself together, do what you got to do. But don't come in with that foolishness. I don't want to have time for that. I'm not going to hear that. And honestly, and it's funny because I'll sit back and I am sympathetic and empathetic to it. And I will not break a smile, and I will not even give the inch that I'm going to pity you with your crying.
Okay, so I need to have a straight face when they come in. I need to just sit there and just look at them. But see, they say my eyes are evil, you know, and I used to... They're like, Sheena, look at you. Like, yes, don't come up here with that.
People are going to say, listen, you can't please everybody. Mr. Frazier said to my colleague, the first way to fail at business is trying to please everybody. As a supervisor, even as an advisor, you know, to students, you know, I can't please you. I got to tell you some things. It's tough love, but it's going to be love nonetheless. But I have to say to you, okay, you messing up, bro. We need to get together. So like I told the student, I'm about to wrap it. I know you got to wrap it up. I told the student, you're working too much. I need you to cut it back. Partly because when you do your financial aid, if you make over a certain amount of money, you're forced to file taxes. That now means that your income plus your parents' income is going to be combined together, which means the government's going to say you don't need any money because you have enough between the three of you all, the two of you all, to afford for college. Scale back. Mm-hmm. He was like, but I know, scale back. And if you can't scale back, I'm going to go to your boss and tell your boss scale you back. It's up to you. Now, was that mean? Probably so. Was it needed? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Did he benefit from it? Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Okay, my last question.
Okay.
Recently, Jeff Bezos gave Ben Jones $100 million and told him he could do with it what he wants. If someone was to call you tomorrow and give you $100 million, what would you do?
For me or for other people?
Just for you. Do with it what you want. That's what he told him.
Oh, okay. So if I got the opportunity, I would certainly go and help some schools out, some young people. That's the first thing. I want to promote education, so I want to help students out in that process. I certainly would take my care of myself and give me some nice things for me, but first and foremost, it would be to help other people. Yes. In the process. And I'm not trying to buy a car for high school students. I'm not trying to do that kind of stuff. I may give them a little piece of change as an incentive, but ultimately to promote education. Because, you know, the old cliche is give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So I want to be a teacher, you know, fisher or man to teach this process that you can go on and do better. Because if I give you the $1,000 or $100,000 and you don't spend it wisely, you're going to be broke. But if I teach you the process and you take this $100,000 and you're going to make it work for you and you become a millionaire yourself. So now you got 10 times that $100,000 because you learned the process of how to make the money work for you. So that would be the first thing. And then, of course, I buy myself a couple new cars for me. A couple new cars I really want. But first and foremost, help somebody else.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hobbs, and thank you for joining me on the podcast, Education Over That podcast. How can people get in contact with you?
That's a very good question. So probably they can't because I'm not on social media. However, if you look up Upward Bound, why are you laughing? I'm not on social media. Upward Bound is look up Upward Bound, something like that. Yeah, you find me. You can find me though.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hobbs, for joining us. Have a great day.
Likewise. Bye. Thank you.
We thank our guests for joining us on the Education Over That podcast. If you found this video or podcast to be insightful, please share it with someone. I am Sheena Hogue. Remember to live life, love life, and be well.